Yo, what's going on, guys? Happy Thursday, man. 49ers got eliminated. That was not shocking. It was to be expected. At least I expected my Niners to lose. It's just that it's that kind of year where we're a team riddled with injuries. Man, we just suck. That's just what it is. Close, but no tomato. Look, I've been watching a lot of these interviews. Boxing has been extremely slow. Tank Davis was supposed to fight in December. Fight gets postponed. Um, I think the biggest fight is not Dimitri Bivol, Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. I think that's supposed to be a thing that's gonna end the year of 2024 as we head into 2025. And then February or January we have David Benavidez versus David Morrell. But this fight right here, Alexis Rocha, very good little fighter, always in good competitive bouts, and he's gonna be fighting Raul Curiel. I've never seen Raul. I don't know how good he is. But supposedly he's a knockout artist, and Alexis Rocha is one of those very young veterans in the game that doesn't get a lot of exposure, and he just continues to have these tough little fights. Eventually, hopefully, Golden Boy throws him a bone. Even though Alexis Rocha, I think he's still campaigning at 147, but had he beaten, like they say, the likes of Giovanni Santillán, maybe he gets a fight with Virgil Ortiz. But be that as it may, man, Alexis Rocha has fought Speedy Rashidi Ellis. He lost to Giovanni Santillán, had fights with guys like, I believe, Maurice Hooker, and now he's fighting a guy that's a knockout artist and Raul Curiel this Saturday. And I'm extremely excited about this. Yo, what's going on, Vince? Salute to you, man. Happy Thursday. It's a shame that the Niners could not win. I was telling Drew that well, it's pretty simple. I wish that the Niners did not beat the Chicago Bears. I want the Niners to tank and get a top 10, draft prospect. Imagine if we were in the top 7 and we move up the ladder to get like a dynamic player like a Travis Hunter. Something like that would make it, or you suck during the draft, or you get a top 10 pick, knowing that you're going to get all of these players back, Brandon Ayuk, everybody healthy, Christian McCaffrey, Dre Greenlaw, and then you pick up a lineman by, giving up a top 7 and just getting back into the, later rounds. Because the Niners don't really need a lot of players. It's just this year we've been riddled with injuries. No excuses. And we didn't have an identity. We don't know how to close games this year. Like, for example, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, they've had maybe 7 close games dictated by 7 points or less. But because they know how to close, and this game of inches has gone their way versus the Niners aren't going their way, we find ourselves less than 500 team. They find themselves 11 or 12-1. So that's the slim margin where we needed that closer. In the past had been Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. It looked like it was going to be George Kittle. But hey, it is what it is, man. But be that as it may, Tank Davis, right? What's going on? Vince says, at first I thought it was the weather in the first half, but nope. Second half was still the same. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I expected this game because of the inclemented weather. I knew that it was going to be very tough to pass the ball, especially if it was gonna rain all 4 quarters. I knew it was going to be sloppy. I knew it was gonna be, a punt riddled game. And these type of games, it's anybody's ball. Like, I feel like the ball, somebody can fumble, slip, lose a lot of momentum. But man, it is what it is. We can talk about football some other time, not this time. Tank Davis, the Mexican G, he goes, "Que huele mi raza?" What's going on, bro? Yo, shout out to Alexis Rocha for always being that fighter to take on the new tough up and comers. He shies away from nobody. He didn't shy away from Giovanni Santillán, took a hellacious beating, right? And he's finding himself in another tough fight against a knockout artist, Raul Curiel. If I didn't know any better, I would tell you that Raul Curiel is probably a Hall of Famer himself, just like Tank Davis. Look, man, I like Tank Davis, but this sport of boxing, minimally, man, has to be based on a system. of how we can quantify and rate a professional fighter and let them know if he's a Hall of Famer or not. Tank Davis has never unified a division. He's never been undisputed. He doesn't fight the top fighters. In today's day and age, Tank Davis continues to find the top prospects to fight. And somehow, the alien, Bernard Hopkins, man, Philadelphia's pride and joy from Folsom County, this dude calls him a Hall of Famer. Bro, I'm so perplexed by. Look, man, if I'm Bernard Hopkins, I'm gonna be like, look, Tank, I like Lamont Roach Jr. I think he used to be on the Golden Boy roster stable. My thing is, it's like, how you continue to find these guys? Aren't you a cash cow? Aren't you a pound for pound fighter? Aren't you a bona fide star with like 7, 10, 35 million followers on all your social media accounts? Dude, do you want to continue to sell 200 pay-per-view buys? Or are you trying to sell 200 million? You get what I'm saying? Like, you keep finding these guys, Frank the Martin Ghost, Rolly Romero, Lamont Roach Jr., all of these mediocre boxers. I mean, these guys got some skill. You know what I mean? But in terms of mediocrity, if you were to compare those three fighters who are the last three opponents of Tank Davis, and you compare them to this, say, an accomplished fighter like Lomachenko, you get what I'm saying? Like, how you continue to find these dudes? Do you have a say in your career? You know, a while ago, this dude was talking about how he wanted to retire, right? And we went all in on him because it's just like, bro, you can't retire, bro. You've done absolutely you fought, like Canelo said when he told Demetrius Andrade, you fought with nobody. You have done absolutely nothing in this sport. Like, when you think about Tank Davis's best fights, don't get me wrong, man. I love Leo Santa Cruz. You know, I like some of these fighters that he's knocked out. But none of those guys that you've knocked out are probably Hall of Famers. Frank Martin's not a Hall of Famer. Neither is Rolly. Neither is Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia had never been a champion. The only Hall of Famer that Tank Davis probably has is a borderline Leo Santa Cruz. Like, that's your best fighter on your resume, a Leo Santa Cruz. I don't even think Yorukis Gamboa is a Hall of Famer. So how can you be a Hall of Famer in the sport of boxing when you've done nothing in your career to say, all right, man, you're on par with the greats like Canelo, Bivol, Terrence Bud Crawford, and all of these fighters? Nobody, bro. Nobody. He's done absolutely nothing. And it's crazy to me. Look, we're all boxing fans here. We all love knockout artists, especially guys like Tank Davis that puts fools to sleep. We love fighters like Tank Davis. But you know what we like even more? If you can knock out guys like Lomachenko. Imagine if Tank Davis in this day and age were to fight Vasily Lomachenko and sleep him. Imagine if Tank can do that. But you see, he doesn't have the balls to. He will never fight a Lomachenko. Lomachenko is on the cusp of retiring, as he should, as he's close to 40. 3-time, 4-time multi-divisional champion, has actually fought the fighters that we wish Tank would fight, like Teofimo, Devin Haney, George Kambosos. That's what Lomachenko has done. And he's lost a lot of those fights. Tank Davis refuses to take on those fighters. And we want to praise this dude and call him a Hall of Famer. That's the state of boxing. That's why guys like Turki Al-Sheikh can do this takeover and buy all of these fighters, essentially, right? Because there's guys like Tank Davis that can't hold it down for America. That's the reality. The best thing that Tank Davis deserves is an honorable mention so he can get a key to the city and where he resides in. That's as good as Tank Davis gets. Now, I get it. In his state, in this country, not even in this country, but in this city where he's from, he's a legend. I get it. You know, I'm sure I can say the same about my boy Ruben Villa, that he's a legend in Salinas. You get what I mean? But like, when it comes down to it, man, it's like, yeah, you're a millionaire. Congratulations, Tank. You know what I mean? You're a knockout artist. Congratulations. But when we're talking about the greats, when we're talking about boxing immortality, when we're talking about fighters that make it into the Thug Mansion, right? The Utopia, heaven, boxing immortality, right? You cannot beat nowhere near the equation of the greats like Bud Crawford. Hell, even a unified, undefeated, and Errol Spence, because at least he fought Sean Porter. Try to fight Keith Thurman, Kell Brook, and Sheffield. Errol Spence's unification bouts, even the fight that he lost to Bud Crawford, which would have cemented him. I would say Errol Spence is my guy. Errol doesn't deserve to be a Hall of Famer. But his road to undisputed trumps anything that Tank Davis has done. You get what I'm saying? That's just the way I look at it, man. Yo, Speed Drew, I sent you guys a link to the live. I don't know if you guys want to hop on. Obviously, it's close to that 10-hour mark. So, I won't be on here for too long. But, Vince goes, let's see. What are you guys talking about? I remember when Rocha whooped Blair Cobbs. Woo! Yeah, man. Yeah, he did whoop Blair Cobbs. I like Blair Cobbs, man. I wish he still stayed with Golden Boy. He had a lot of momentum. Then, takes a couple of losses, feels, disrespected or whatever the case may be. But it is what it is. What did you think about the decision on Pro Box yesterday? On which particular fight? I thought the fight was a draw. It was close. Not everyone agreed with the decision. I didn't watch the main event, but I did watch Nunez versus Eduardo Baez. I was really interested in that fight. Eduardo Baez put a great, presentation of himself. I thought he lost, but he did extremely great. I thought Luis Nunez, I thought he would be much better than what he displayed. He's very good. He's going to be a force at 126, but he's got to be much more active than he's been. Be that as it may, Pro Box, salute to you, man. You still continue to put on these good fights, and you continue to find these gems. So salute to you, Pro Box, for giving us a free service and one with quality. I appreciate you. Vince Vargas goes, same. It was a draw. It was disrespectful to call it a unanimous decision. True. Comments agreed with you. Leo Santa Cruz got snoozed. I didn't want Leo to take that fight. I knew what the outcome was going to be. Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. Not to get all racial or anything, but I feel for a really long time, Mexican Americans and Mexican fighters have always been kind of like a sacrificial lamb to these black fighters. For example, Navarrete can be an amazing fighter at 126 and at 130. Hell, he can even unify these divisions. But they le lavan el coco, you know what I mean? They tell you, hey, Navarrete, go up to 135, loco. Go fight over here, become a 4-time, 5-time division champ like those greats in Mexico, like Marquez and Canelo and all these things. Go make history, bro. We're going to give you a soft touch like that guy that he lost to, the Ukrainian, that's 38 years old. Navarrete looks all fat and bloated and shit, right? And then next thing you know, then after that, we're gonna feed you to Keyshawn Davis. That was the play. Luckily, Navarrete, to his, I don't know if he was aware, but losing on that fight against the Ukrainian probably saved them a hellacious knockout against Keyshawn Davis. Navarrete has no business being at 135. Bro, go down to 126. You can probably become undisputed. A great-ass fight with Angelo Leo. You and not Robeisy Ramirez, and Vinci Espinoza. And then I forgot who the 4th champion is down there. Maybe Brandon Figueroa. Go unify with all those Mexicanos. You just beat the snot out of my boy Oscar Valdez. Man, I should have gone live when that happened, man. Salute to Oscar Valdez, bro. That's a dude that has a lot of heart. You know what I mean? That dude has a never back down attitude, especially when he's getting blitzed and pummeled. Not like Robeisy Ramirez. Me pegaron el ojo, güey. Ya no puedo continuar. That fucking guy, bro. Fucking Robeisy Ramirez, man. Look, take a knee. Rub your eye, bro. You know what I'm saying? Right hand, clocks him right. Gets all swollen, starts to see in double. Yeah, bro, that's what happens. And you're supposed to fight through that, especially if you want to be a champion. He had a breaking point. And, I'll let Speed cook a little bit more on that because I know that he wanted to talk about it. So the way I look at it, man, There's not a lot of Cubans in this modern day and age that are willing to go life and death in the sport of boxing like El Mexicano. You know what I mean? The Mexican fighter goes to extreme levels of punishment to overcome adversity to become a champion. And a lot of these other Olympians, you know, not going to attack a whole culture, but they're not willing to go that length. It was true comments. I didn't want Leo to take that fight. I knew what the outcome would be. Yeah, I think everybody knew what the outcome would be. But, you know, Leo Santa Cruz sold his booty for a paycheck and he got fucking slept. And what happened there? He essentially retired. You don't really hear about Leo Santa Cruz. You never see him fight. Like a lot of times, the Mexican is willing to he's willing to sacrifice his legacy just for a paycheck. And that's one thing that I can respect the African-American fighter is that they don't do shit like that. Floyd, you can never call Floyd a sellout because he will never sell out his record just for extra money. Neither was Shakur Stevenson. You saw it with Richardson Hitchens, whatever his fucking name is. He was like, I'm not fucking fighting Subriel Matias. But when he knows that he can exploit and beat, that Australian Liam Paro, he's like, all right, that's a good matchup. But the Mexican, you give him an extra 500,000, man, this dude will fucking break dance for you and do a lot of crazy things just for another fucking 500K. The black fighter will be like, give me 5 million and I'll think about it. Shit, look at Boots. He walked away from Virgil Ortiz. You get what I'm saying? The Mexican will sell out, unfortunately, because and you see it in our culture, in our history, is that nosotros peleamos por el orgullo. We have pride. It isn't just for the paycheck, right? So we really respect the sport of boxing when it comes down to tough fights. We're willing to take on the tough fights, but you you allow yourself for exploitation, right? And we see this multiple times in all of our fighters. You see it with Leo Santa Cruz. Why are you making them move up to 130? That's a great fighter at 122, at 126. Why? Oh, you're trying to build everything that he's done, and you're trying to build Tank Davis. Same thing with Mario Barrios. He had no business staying at 140. Look at Ryan Garcia. A lot of Mexicans are willing to fucking sell out just for some fucking money, and the black fighter never will. You know what I mean? Because they know in due time, I'm going to get the bag. But the Mexican wants it right there. You saw it with Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. Bro, what are you doing going up to 147? How many more examples do I got to give you guys? You get what I'm saying? How many times? It's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. And goes with Navarrete. Don't go to 135. Don't fight Shakur Stevenson for $1 million. You can make that money if you suck down to 126 and you become undisputed by beating Angelo Leo, Espinoza, and Brandon Figueroa. Naoya Inoue will move up, and you can possibly knock him out. But I guarantee you, El Pinche Taquero is going to move up to 135 and get knocked out by Keyshawn Davis just because he wants to make history. Do you know, motherfucker, you can make history, right? You can make history by being undisputed at 126. What are you doing to going at 135, Navarrete? What are you doing, bro? And if you're going to do it, at least take some clenbuterol tacos, bro. You're all fucking fat up in the abdomen. You got no abs. He looked amazing against Oscar Valdez last Saturday. I'm tired of seeing La Raza sell out, bro. Like, I'm not even on that type of like, oh, brown pride and all this shit. But I'm just like, bro, you guys accomplished so much just to give it to mediocre fighters like Tank Davis. You get what I'm saying? Where you're knocking out some tough-ass dudes fighting some tough-ass roads. Like, we talked about it before. Emmanuel Navarrete, right? I love when he destroyed Isaac Dogbo. Because Isaac Dogbo had to bro, to be honest with you, I was a big fan of Isaac Dogbo until he started like saying all this shit to Jesse Magdaleno and be like, Trump, this, and saying a bunch of racist shit that doesn't even concern him. Like, bro, you're from Africa, bro. Mind your fucking nose. And when Navarrete was fucking him up, it felt great. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Navarrete, to me, like I said, I have like this love-hate relationship because he be my guy, local town hero. But it is what it is. The Mexican G goes, Navarrete fights like a drunk at a bar. Dude, he is the epic ballroom fighter, bro. Like, I don't understand for the sake of like how this dude can beat amazing fighters with that type of style. Just lets you know that he hits fucking hard, bro. Like he has his own way of just, yeah, man. I don't know. You know, I would never train any boxer to fight like Navarrete, but this guy is a 3-time division champ and he's knocking out some pretty good fucking fighters. Like that to me is shocking. Vince Vargas goes, yeah, that was a tough loss. I felt for him rolling up in lowriders. Yeah, man. I just hate seeing a lot of our Mexican potential great fighters like Mikey Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, Emmanuel Navarrete, and the list goes on, right? Just the modern times sacrifice their careers and everything great that they stand for, and basically give it to another fighter, whether it's a black fighter or a Russian. It's like we allow so many things. We'll bring down our own so bad, but we'll uplift in terms of everything that we try to accomplish and give it to somebody else. It's the most ridiculous thing. And we bend over backwards essentially to these guys. You know what I mean? When it's like, you don't need that, bro. You don't need to do that. You can earn so much money in your own way, right? But yeah, man, I guess black versus brown, will continue to sell because of the race politics behind it, and the Mexican always gets shafted. That's just the way I see it. You want to tell me otherwise? You tell me what black American fighter has ever sold out. I'll wait. You can't tell me that, but I can give you a list of 10 fighters that are Mexican right now that have. You can't tell me Errol Spence never moved up to 154. Maybe you can give me Jermell Charlo, but after he became undisputed, he knew it was a cash grab moving up 15 pounds. That's why I give a lot of respect to Jermell Charlo when he lost to Canelo, because I was like, you already made your history. You already a Hall of Famer. You already unified 154. You were the last dog in the mound. So go get your money and Canelo, right? Because when Jermell was doing the right things, Jermell Charlo, guess what? He was fighting guys to become unified, and then he became undisputed with Brian Castano, and nobody showed out in LA. Nobody showed out in Houston. So after that, he was like, all right, bro, I made all this history. You guys ain't trying to really like give me my praise. Let me go get this 10 million secured with Canelo. And that's what he did. I respect that, because he did his legacy. Now go get the paycheck. Whereas Mikey Garcia is, you haven't even cemented your legacy, bro. Stay at 135, right? Or at 140. Fucker wants to go to 147, and just because he's gonna sell over 200 pay-per-view buys with Errol Spence in Texas, dude, think like, man, you got paid more fighting Jesse Vargas than you did in the way that you fucking presented your skills against Errol Spence. Yeah, man, it was the most ridiculous thing, bro. Most ridiculous thing. But yeah, man, seeing Bernard Hopkins say that Tank Davis is a Hall of Famer doesn't sit right by me. Here's Bernard Hopkins, man, that became undisputed, defended his throne 200 something times, 20 plus title defenses. I think Triple G tied his record. And Bernard Hopkins, this fighter that, I give a lot of praise and credit to, is willing to call Tank Davis his equal. That's shocking to me. It's just like Canelo. So why are you calling Tank Davis, or B-Hop, why are you guys calling Tank Davis your guys' equal and having a seat in the Hall of Fame, right? When he's done nowhere as accomplished as you guys. He doesn't take on the tough fights like you guys did. That's what's shocking to me. It's that these reputable people, these insiders, these extreme boxing purists are able to condone the fuckery when it comes down to Tank Davis. They'll give him a pass. You can't give him a pass. That's why Tank Davis can't retire, because he owes us so many good fights. That's right. He owes us a lot of great fights because he's reaping the benefits of our hard-earned money in which we have supported him multiple countless of times. And it's time for Tank Davis to fight some great fighters that we want him to fight, in which we think that he's going to probably beat all of them, like Shakur, like Devin, like Lomachenko, George Kambosos, Keyshawn Davis. Go fight these guys. We're tired of seeing you fight Lamont Roach, Frank Martin. Hell, even Rayo Valenzuela. I don't want to see you fight Rayo Valenzuela. I didn't think he beat Pitbull Cruz. Go rematch Pitbull Cruz. This guy, go fight Edwin de los Santos. Why don't you fight those tough guys? How do you even find Lamont Roach? How do you even like know that Frank Martin exists? That's the craziest part to me. Is like there's other fighters that you can probably generate, I don't know, 500 pay-per-view buys, and you find the Lamont Roaches of the world. Like, that's crazy. Like Rolly Romero is good business. In what fucking world? It's the craziest thing, like how Tank won't fight these guys that are somewhat known, but he finds these fighters that nobody knows. And he's willing to go on pay-per-view and fight these dudes. That guy's a fucking genius, man. I swear. But yeah, man, that's all I got to really say when it comes down to Tank Davis and Bernard Hopkins giving him a pass. It's like, bro, and the crazy part is you have these amazing reporters. Supposedly they're amazing. And they don't even like correct them. It's like, bro, you have access to Bernard Hopkins and you tell him, look, B-Hop, I'm not trying to be argumentative with you, but you fought all of these guys like Dignidad, James Toney, Roy Jones Jr., Oscar De La Hoya, all of these fighters, and you became undisputed. And you're willing to call Tank Davis an equal, have an equal seat to the Hall of Fame table because he's done exactly what you've done. You've become undisputed. So the people that Tank Davis has knocked out, that's equivalent to the people that you've beaten, B-Hop. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? What's the point of Jermell Charlo trying to become undisputed? What's the point of Errol Spence fighting Kell Brook, Bud Crawford, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, all of these fighters to become undisputed and come up short in the Hall of Fame, but we're able to tell Tank Davis, yo, Tank, you're a Hall of Famer, bro, because I like how you fight. I like your skills. Yet we don't see his skills against the top elite fighters in his division. He didn't fight the elites at 126. He didn't fight the elites at 130. He didn't fight the elites at 135. He don't want to fight the elites at 140. How you going to say that he's a Hall of Famer? Tank Davis has one of the most fakest careers that has pandered all to him. And yet somehow this dude gets so much love and praise and respect from everybody. Like it should be everybody in that division ganging up on Tank Davis, calling him out. Bro, like they should like jump him online, internally, and in person. That's what's crazy about it. Like Teofimo should run up to Tank Davis and have Shakur right next to him, have Devin Haney right next to him. And I guarantee you Tank Davis ain't going to check the temperature of any of those people. He'll do it online, but never in person. And if he is going to do it in person, hey, bro, you got to lose 25 pounds and only rehydrate 2 pounds after, because if not, the fight's off. Yeah, man, I'm really it saddens me that guys like Errol Spence have to go to Sheffield in the UK in the background of Kell Brook, fight Bud Crawford, you know, all of these things. And here's little Tank Davis, and he gets all this respect. Like, it's crazy. It lets you almost know that Errol Spence should have taken the easy road and not the hard road. Like, there is no integrity in the sport of boxing. Like, why are you going to try to honor all these roots and traditions of what it means to be a champion and a glory when you can be called a franchise belt, when you can fight for an interim belt? Hell, go become the IBO champion, the IBO. Go down that road. It doesn't matter what belt you have as long as you have a belt. You can sell that to people because that's how a farce of a joke this, boxing could be. I don't know if Turki Al-Sheikh can clean it up, man. I'm really hoping that he could, but even then, his money, power, and influence, and his Great Gatsby-like parties and events that he puts out still is not enough to get, let's say, Canelo, Tank Davis, and even Tim Tszyu to play ball with him. Now, I will say this. Hopefully, Turki Al-Sheikh wisens up and realizes you don't need Canelo, you don't need Tank Davis, and you don't need Tim Tszyu to make grand events, Turki. If you continue to be a boxing purist and you gave us fights like Virgil Ortiz versus Madrimov, right? And you continue, let's say Virgil beats Madrimov, and then you have Virgil fight Sebastian Fundora. Let's say Virgil beats Sebastian Fundora, then you have Virgil fight Bud Crawford. And let's say Virgil beats Bud Crawford. Guess what? You essentially just built your own Canelo Alvarez. You no longer need Canelo. Trying to get Canelo over to your platform is going to cost you an arm and a leg. And guess what? He's going to fight Chris Eubank Jr. out of it. You get what I'm saying? So you can build your own Canelo. You can build your own Tank Davis. You just have to find the fighter that is that person. And it's not Tank. It's not Richardson Hitchens. It could be Keyshawn Davis. It could be Abdullah Mason. It could be Emiliano Vargas. Try to go after those guys and try to build those fighters up. There's so many ways, so many paths that Turki Al-Sheikh can save the sport of boxing. But if he tries to fight, not fight, but if he tries to bring over Canelo, Tank Davis, you're going to lose with those three fighters. In the long term, you're going to lose with them. But you can turn Virgil Ortiz, possibly if you play your cards right, you can do that. You can build him up into a Canelo Alvarez, right? Maybe not that marketable appeal, but if he goes down that road fighting Madrimov, and let's say he's able to be successful against Madrimov, which is not going to be easy, and then he, let's say, fights Sebastian Fundora, then Bud Crawford, and if Virgil is somehow to be the last man standing, I guarantee you, you just built a star. You can do it with Bam Rodriguez as well. You don't really need these quote-unquote faces of boxing. You can start from scratch and create your own. And it's easier said than done, to be honest with you. If you're willing to pay Jake Paul's of the world and pay all of this money to Tyson Fury to fight Francis Ngannou, believe me, when I tell you that you can build all these other fighters that are much cheaper than them, and they're going to give you better fights. They're going to give you better fights. So I don't know about you, but I think Virgil gives overall better fights right now than Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? When I look back at Canelo's career, there's only about 3-4 amazing fights that I really go back and look. Obviously, Triple G Part 2. I love rewatching the Canelo Plant fight. I also like Canelo versus James Kirkland. It was straight to the point, right? It was like no filler, just a fucking, Hagler versus Hearns situation. Just James Kirkland just went all out and boom, just got blasted. But I don't even go rewatch Canelo versus Cotto. That was a great boxing match. I don't go watch Canelo versus Lara or Canelo versus Trout. Those are good boxing matches. But Virgil, man, I can go have a lot of enjoyment watching him versus Mean Machine. I can have Virgil versus Bohachuk. I mean, there's much more potential with Virgil, is what I'm trying to say. With Canelo is, I don't know, it's not all that. Could be wrong. I mean, one guy does have like 40 more fights, but it is what it is. Look, guys, it looks like these two dudes aren't going to hop on, so it makes my job a little easier to go short. But, yeah, man, let's see if Turki Al-Sheikh can really cook up a lot of things. It looks like he's really into the Ring Magazine lineal path, right? When he bought that magazine, that title, that belt off Golden Boy, it lets me know that he's trying to go legitimate. I think Turki is done with, as of right now, with the charades of boxing, like the Tyson Fury. I think he's done with mismatches, and he understands that he can have amazing fights in the mannerisms that he's moving about, right? With Bivol Beterbiev, Usyk, Tyson Fury. He has, if Fury loses to Usyk, he can have Fury versus Joshua. He can go about these fights and still make grand events and stacked undercards. If he continues to have stacked undercards and pay-per-view for less than $50, right, and giving us these amazing fights like Virgil versus Madrimov, Bohachuk versus Bud Crawford, that niche audience, his platform is only going to be a matter of time until he succeeds. His events are like, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie Great Gatsby or read the book by F. Scott Fitzgerald, right? But that guy throws a party, brings out hip-hop artists, brings out these amazing canvases and long ring walks. essentially he treats every single fighter on his cards like a pay-per-view star, right? And if he continues to do so, it's an expensive road to go that way. But if he continues to do so, you're going to see a lot of die-hard boxing fans cater to it. And sometimes, like we said before, man, the foreigners really more than often, really appreciate the mantra of what America wants its American citizens to be. Foreigners and immigrants actually respect the creed much more than the American people. Get what I'm saying? So, like, when we talk about the American dream, you and me are living in it, right? But we don't really respect it. And then an immigrant can come out here and be like, man, dude, this is aquí la tiene papita. You get what I'm saying? We don't look at it like that. We're busy always wanting more and understand that, dude, we really have it all. And yeah, man. But on that note, Warp Speed, Mexican Jeep, Mr. Vince Vargas. Did I miss anybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll probably go live maybe if Alexis Rocha is able to overcome Raul. But check him out, man, on the Zone. And if not, you guys can check it out on Stream East Live. Maybe it'll be there. But yeah, guys, happy Thursday. Have a good weekend. I don't know if you guys like Interstellar. I think, in my opinion, it's a little too soon. But my niece was telling me that there's Interstellar is a film by Christopher Nolan, who made all the Batman trilogy, Inception, The Prestige, Memento, all of these films. And I guess there's a 10-year anniversary. Just to give you guys a little synopsis, a little log line of what Interstellar is. It's basically Matthew McConaughey. He's the actor. And he's an astronaut, an engineer, and all these things. So he goes basically into space, and he's trying to find answers, right, in the world so he can save planet Earth. So he goes into a different planet to see if it's habitable, all of these things, if I remember correctly. And he's trying to go into this beacon that has a lot of information. But when you go into warp speed, so to speak, when you go into this loop, you're moving faster than the speed of light. So it's like this time traveling thing where in a certain area, if you spend more than, like, let's say 15 minutes back on Earth, you just lost 50 years, right? Because of the distance and the relationship that you are to the sun and X, Y, and Z. Anyway, oh man, I can't even say much more, guys. But anyway, it's a 10-year reunion. I think this week in IMAX theaters near you, Vince, and San Jose, you can actually watch this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's a very science fiction movie. It deals a lot with black holes and black worms and time travel and fourth dimensions. It's really good, but it's a big shot of depression, in my opinion. It's a very movie that makes you very anxious, because you think about it like this. Let's say you can talk to yourself 30 years from now. Okay, so I'm 30 years old, right? And let's say I can go into the future 45 years to talk to my 70-year-old self, right? But if I exceed more than 5-10 minutes of that conversation and I talk to my 70-year-old self just to see how my future is going to plan out, if I go past 1 minute, I'm going to lose 25 years of my life when I was 30 years old, right? You guys catch my drift? That's kind of what that movie Interstellar is about. And if I exceed that minute talking to my future self 40 years from now, if I go over 1 minute asking them so much questions, yo, bro, where did you get it wrong? Dude, what lifestyle changed? You know, X, Y, and Z, what happens to my family, or X, whatever. I got so much questions that I have to ask. If I go past 1 minute, I'm going to lose 25 years. And when I come back to my Earth, I'm 55. You get what I'm saying? That's kind of what Interstellar is about. You're going to be very anxious if you do watch it, Vince. But yeah, man, it's a 10-year reunion. And I guess there's been a lot of people that love this movie, and they're reselling some of those tickets for $300. I don't know if that's true. I don't know in what parts of the state or the country, or if it's in a different country. But yeah, man, it's a pretty good film. Anything that Christopher Nolan touches, the director from the UK, it's gold. He's the one that brought you The Dark Knight, right, with the Joker and Heath Ledger. If you watch The Prestige, I think that's what it's called, with Wolverine, right? Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. It's basically two magicians going at it and putting on this great presentation of who the best magician is. If you really watch all of his movies, they're fantastic. I think he only has maybe like 12 in his filmography. Probably the best creative director that has a lot of original writings and ideas. See, I love Quentin Tarantino, but all of his movies are basically modern day adaptations. So, for example, Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. I won't go into details because you guys must watch that movie if you guys are cinephiles, right? Which means you're an extreme, you know, not an extreme filmmaker, but you know, you're a fan, you're a fanatic of movies. Quentin Tarantino, all of his movies from Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards, all of these spaghetti westerns, and even Reservoir Dogs, they're movies that people like Sergio Leone have directed in the past, but he modernizes them. And he does a great job of doing it. I'm not saying that they're not original works. I'm just saying that there's a lot of references that he's basically copying and adapting it to modern day pop culture with a lot of pop culture references and music. And you know, it's a copycat league, and Quentin Tarantino does it no better, right? Quentin Tarantino brought you Pulp Fiction and things of that nature. But look, guys, on that note, have a good night. Enjoy you guys' Thursdays. And yeah, man, it's great chopping it up with y'all. Click end stream.